Well, hello and welcome to the Web Monkey Show. My name is Alex, and today I have a very special video for you because today I am going to be talking about my favorite web hosting company in the world, which is Siteground. Now, if you're currently stuck with a web hosting company that you're not too happy with and you're looking for a great alternative, I think you're going to love today's video. And if you are already a customer with Siteground, you will love this video because I'm going to be showing you exactly everything that you can do with Siteground. Now, as you can see right now on my screen, I'll be walking you through the back end, the control panel of Siteground. So I'm going to show you everything, how you can create or buy domains with Siteground, how you can create subdomains, how you can install WordPress on your site, how you can add security like SSL certificates, how you can speed up your site using Cloudflare, caching. We'll talk about how you can create a professional email account for your site, how you can analyze traffic, and just about everything that you can do with Siteground. I will be demonstrating it in this particular video. Now, a quick history about between me and Siteground. Basically, I started using Siteground way back in the year 2012, and ever since then I have fallen in love with the web hosting company. I think they are simply awesome. They provide lots of services, most of which are actually completely free once you become a client with them, and the customer support is without question world class. It's one of the very best I have ever encountered. So I can stake my entire reputation on these guys. It's the reason why I support them, and I'm also an affiliate for them, by the way. And if you're interested by the end of this video, if you feel like, you know what, Alex, you've convinced me to go with Siteground, I do have my affiliate link in the description box below. What that means is I will get a small commission if you do decide to buy web hosting with Siteground. But again, I'm not doing this just for the money. I'm doing it because I believe in Siteground, because I actually host my actual real websites with Siteground. And like I said, I believe that if you host with them, you will never regret it. So don't take my word for it, though. I actually do have a full article on my blog as to why Siteground are the best web hosting company in the world. It's a very extensive article. In here, I listed all the services and I got screenshots from Facebook groups. So it's not just me who loves Siteground. A lot of people love Siteground for obvious reasons. And if you're interested, you can go ahead and read the article, and hopefully it will convince you. Or you can also do your own research online. Simply go on Google, type in best web hosting companies in the world, and Siteground always pops up. In fact, Automatic, the creators of WordPress, actually recommend Siteground. So that alone should tell you just how awesome the company is. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get started with how you can make use of the Siteground's web hosting services. All right, so the very first thing I'd like to talk about would be the different hosting packages that Siteground offers. And right here on the home page, you will see these four main columns right here. You've got web hosting, WordPress hosting, WooCommerce hosting, and then cloud hosting. Now, the first three are basically shared hosting plans, while the last one here would be cloud hosting. And of course, if you go to cloud hosting, you can see that, well, you do have some very fantastic features available in here. Lots of speed, lots of space. Unfortunately, though, it's also quite expensive. So I would only recommend you go with cloud hosting if you already have like a well-established website, you're getting lots of traffic, and of course, if you can afford to go with any of their cloud hosting plans. But let's go back to the shared hosting. Now, for these three, web hosting, WordPress hosting, WooCommerce hosting, you have access to the same different packages. So as an example, if I go with the WordPress hosting, in here, you would have Startup, Grow Big, or Go Gig. Startup is the cheapest, of course, but its main limitation is that you only have access to one website. So you cannot install or host more than one website on this particular account. Go Big has unlimited websites, so does Go Gig. But with Go Geek, you do get access to more space, more traffic, and geeky features as well, more speed, and so on. So I would recommend that you go with either Go Big or Go Geek. If you can afford Go Geek, by all means go with Go Geek. It is absolutely worth it. You get lots of speed, lots of space, But if you can't afford Go Gig, then at least go with Go Big, because this will allow you to install unlimited number of websites. You never know in the future when you might just need another website for maybe your friend, or your family member, or someone that you never really know. So I would recommend you go with either Go Big or Go Gig. So let's say we're going to go with Go Gig as an example. I'm going to click on Get Plan. All right. Now in here, you will have the option of either registering a new domain, or you go with I already have a domain. So if you've never gotten a domain before, you don't have one, simply go with register a new domain. And in here, you would have to first of all type in the proposed domain that you want to go with, and then you click on proceed. Now, Siteground will tell you whether or not that domain name is actually available. In this case right now, you can see it says it's not available. So what I'll do is, just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go with something absolutely ridiculous right here. I know there is no one in the world that will have this kind of domain name. So I'm going to go and click on proceed. And okay, for a second I thought that domain was already taken, but it's not. So right here, you can see it says congratulations, domain.com is available. So all you would have to do is simply add your account information, client information, add your payment information. Now in here, this is actually very, very important. Where you have the data center, you will have access to 4 different data centers. Why is this important? Well, you want to go with the data center that's closest to your physical location. So in this case right now, let's say your website or that you're based in England, in the United Kingdom, right? More than likely, most of your traffic will come from the UK. So you want to go with United Kingdom in this case, because what this means is that your content will load faster for people in the UK because your data center is in the UK. So you want to go with the data center that's closest to your physical location. Likewise, if you're in Asia, let's say you're in India or Thailand, you want to go with Singapore. If you were somewhere else in Europe, maybe Sweden, Finland, you might go with Europe. If you're in South America, North America, you want to go with the United States. So that's exactly what you should do here. Now, period, you've got the test 1 month. You've got 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. It's up to you. I'll recommend 12 months. Now, in here, you do have the domain registration that you're paying for. You can also go with extra services such as domain privacy or the Siteground site scanner. Domain privacy, personally, it's not vitally important, but what it simply does is that your personal information will not be available on the UI's services. It's something you can go for, but for me, it's not terribly important. Now, the Siteground site scanner, on the other hand, I think this is one that you might want to go with. I don't know why this is actually in Spanish. It should be in English. But anyway, what this does is that basically it will be monitoring your website on a daily basis, 24/7. And if you get infected by malware or any kind of virus, you will be notified immediately. So this is a great way to protect your website from malware, and I would highly recommend that you go with the Siteground site scanner. It is worth it, believe me. And then finally in here, simply go with the confirm, and if you'd like to receive Siteground news, you click on those two and then you pay. That's basically all you need to do. You get your email with your login information and so on. Now going back, let us assume that you already have a domain name. You want to go with I already have a domain. And then in here, I'm going to click on proceed. All right. Oh, actually, you have to go with a domain that's actually registered. So I'm going to go with LabCyber, which is one of my websites. labcyber.com. Click on proceed. Okay, so it's pretty much the same, just like before. You add all necessary information. Now in here, this is the extra service available for you for free if you already have a domain on another web hosting company. So let's say, for example, you're currently hosting with, let's say, GoDaddy, and you want to remove, or rather, you want to move your content from GoDaddy over to Siteground. It is free for you, which is, again, absolutely fantastic. So it's right here, website file transfer for free. And then simply just come in here and, go with the Siteground site scanner if you want to. Click on pay now, and that's pretty much it. So you will get your login information once you have made the payment. One thing I'd like to mention before we continue is that once you've provided your credit card details and you've put the domain name, you would need to verify ownership, and this would entail you providing a phone number. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I just put myself a new domain. So I'm going to go ahead now and add my phone number, and it's going to be 313-754-8018. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and receive a text message. I'll click next. Okay. So right now, Siteground is actually sending to my phone a text message. So I'm just going to wait for a few seconds to receive it. Okay, I've got the text message right now, and the code is 581555. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, hit next. And okay, so there you go. It'll say, let's verify your credit card as well. So in this case right now, this is the credit card I used. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. All right. Now, the thing is, you can see right now that Siteground will make a very small charge to the credit card. So what I'm going to have to do right now is I'm going to have to log into my bank account online and check just how much was charged and provide Siteground with the details. All right, so welcome back. So I've logged into my bank account and I've seen that they charged me $4.45. So I'm going to go ahead now and hit finish to verify that indeed that is my card. And there you go. So I've successfully bought myself a domain. And let me just go to my email account and also show you the kinds of email you receive once you've bought your domain name with Siteground. All right, welcome back. And as you can see right now, I've gotten the email from Siteground verifying that I have bought the domain name thelonenomad.com. And of course, down in here, you can see I do have the admin URL, the username, and the password as well. So basically, this is just the kind of email you'd receive once you've bought your domain name with Siteground. Now let's continue with the rest of the tutorial. All right, so now that you've paid and you've gotten your login information, let's go ahead now and log in to the back end of Siteground. And I'm gonna go with my second account in here. I'm gonna add my password and I will sign in. Okay, now this is going to be the very first page you would see, the back end of the Siteground hosting service. Now, before we take a look at websites, services, and so on, let's come over here where you have the question mark. And this is actually very, very important because when you click on the question mark, this will give you access to their help center. Now, if you click on View Help Center, this will take you to a different page where you can browse through the tutorials on different kinds of topics that can help you solve whatever kind of issue you're having. Now, in here, they do have a support history tab, which is actually fantastic because it is possible that you may run into the same issue after several weeks or after several months. And if such a scenario happens, you can easily come down here to your support history and view all the tickets that you've opened with the support team and simply find the solution right there. So this is a very, very wonderful way to quickly resolve issues that you've had in the past. However, if this is a whole new issue and you can't find a tutorial to help you, then you go straight to the Contact Us tab. Now in here, you have three different columns. You've got technical assistance, advanced technical help, and then billing support. Depending on which one of these you choose, you will now have topics under them. So for example, under technical assistance, you have site down, mail assistance, domain assistance, and so on. Let's just go with WordPress assistance as an example. You click on select. Now in here, you would have to choose the website that you're having your issues with. And then in here, simply type in your inquiry details. So for example, let's say, help me. I am having issues installing plugins. And I'll say, please help me, something like that. Let's go ahead and hit submit. All right, so in here right now, if you can't find the immediate solution, just simply click on contact an expert. And then this will depend on which is faster. You have two options, either to post a ticket, which will be answered in minutes, or you can decide to go to chat and wait for about 10 minutes in this case. So typically by default, Siteground will offer you the quicker of the two options. So you just simply go ahead, post, or just go ahead and chat, and then you'll be in contact with an expert. So that's how to make use of the help center. Now, coming back here where I have AO, if I click in there, you will have access to the login and profile. On the login and profile, you can change your username, your password. You can also activate two-step verification, which I would recommend. You simply click on enable, and then in here, you can go with either the Google Authenticator or an app on your phone, and then simply follow the prompts. Now, in here, you will have access to your security PIN, which you would need to use if you do decide to call Siteground for help. You can, of course, always come in here and simply change the PIN, add your new 4 digits, and click confirm. And then in here, you also have access to your profile details where you can change the necessary information. And then in here, you've got your profile management. You can either decide to download all the data that you've shared with Siteground, or if eventually you feel, you know what, I'm done with Siteground, I'm going elsewhere, you can come in here and initiate a profile deletion where Siteground will delete all the information that they have on you to ensure your privacy. Going back to the AO tab, you also have notification preferences. So in here, you can decide which kinds of news you want to receive from Siteground. And then you've got the manage users, a wonderful, wonderful tab. In here, you can add basically two types of users to your account. You can either go with a collaborator or client. Client basically in this case is if you like a reseller and you're selling services of SiteGround to clients that you have, you can go with client. But in most cases, you'll probably go with collaborator. With collaborator, you can add like a developer to your site or a friend or a co-worker, basically someone that will have access to your account and will be able to make whatever necessary changes that might need to be done. They can also request for support from the SiteGround team. So you come in here, choose the website that you want to give them access to. You add their name, the email you create, and then in here, very useful, you will have all the users listed on your site and then the logs as well. So whenever any one of them does something on your site, you will see the records in here. This is a great way to ensure accountability and transparency. And then, of course, finally, you've got the, the logout button where you can simply log out. Let's now take a look at the websites tab. Now, in here is where you will have access to all the websites that are currently hosting with Siteground. Now, if you wanted to add a new website, it's very easy. You click on the link right here that says new website, and then you will have 3 options. You can either go with a new domain where you'll have to register a new domain and then proceed, or you'll have an existing domain where you can do things like, migration and so on, or you can go with a temporary domain. Let's go with a temporary domain for now, and this would be great if you're simply looking for a way to just build a sample website, test your skills. Temporary domains are perfect for this. So I'll click on temporary domain, and automatically Siteground will create a domain for you. In this case right now, I got alexander04.sg-host.com. I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. And then in here, I can either decide to start a new website by installing WordPress and so on, or I can do migration. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to skip and simply create an empty site. I will show you how to migrate a bit later. So I'll click on skip and create empty site. Just simply go ahead, hit finish. And this will take about a couple of minutes for the site to be created. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll resume the video once the site has been created. Welcome back, and as you can see, it says you're all set. The site has been created. Now I can either just view my site, which I will do by simply clicking on go to site. And there you go. I have my site with a landing page saying, hey, site is under construction, something wonderful is coming. Let me go ahead and close that. Or I can simply click on manage the site. And when you do this, this will take you to the actual control panel of the Siteground web hosting. This is where you can do things like install WordPress, add SSL, make backups, and so on. And that's basically it for creating a temporary domain. Now that we have our test site created, let me quickly show you how you can install WordPress. Simply go to Site Tools under your site, and this will take you to the control panel for Siteground. And then in here, you will see WordPress by the side. Click on WordPress, click on Install and Manage. Now in here, of course, it depends. If you want to go with WooCommerce, if you're building an e-commerce store, you can simply go with the WordPress plus WooCommerce and Siteground will do the installation for you. Or if you're simply building a WordPress site, just click on WordPress, in this case right now, select. And then in here, you don't need to do anything other than maybe uncheck the startup plugin. It's a great plugin for like helping you install quicker, but for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and uncheck this box instead. And then in here, I'll simply add the necessary information, the username, and then also the password, which I'm gonna go ahead and add. And of course, I'll add my email right there, and I'll go ahead and install WordPress. And it's it's as simple as that, really. So let's just wait for a few seconds, and there you go. WordPress is installed. Let's go ahead and view the site. There you go. So that's how to install WordPress easily on your WordPress website. Let's take a look at the control panel for Siteground. And the very first thing I want to introduce you to would be the pinned tools. In here, you can pin your most frequently used apps for easy access. So by default right here, I do have the app manager, email accounts, and so on. To make changes, simply click on the pen right here. And then this will take you to all the available applications. So let's say, for example, I work with HTTPS Enforce. I'll simply hit the pin button right there and pin it. Let's scroll down here. What else can we pin? Let's say I'm going to go ahead and pin Spam Experts just for the sake of it, all right? And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go back in here. And over here, I can also remove apps that have been pinned before. So in this case right now, let's go ahead and unpin Cloud, CDN, Supercacher. Let's unpin File Manager. And once that's done, I'll simply go ahead now and hit save. So this is something that you can modify as you begin to gain some experience working with Siteground. You would know which applications you work with on a frequent basis. All right, let's take a look at the site tab underneath the dashboard. And then in here, you'll have access to the file manager. And in here right now, you can see I do have my website. And then inside of it, you can see we've got the public HTML folder. I can open it. And then in here right now, because we've installed WordPress, you can see we have the WP content folder. I've got the themes folder, and I can open up, let's say 2020, for example. Let's say I wanted to edit the footer.php file. I can double click on it. And you can see right now that Siteground also has a file editor built in, which is actually pretty cool. So if I wanted to make any change in here, I can come in here right now, make whatever change I need to make. And then in here, I've got the save button. I can also close all tabs. I can search in the directory as well. I can also do a find and replace if I wanted to. And I could also download the file if needed. So that's the file manager, very, very useful. You do have FTP accounts as well. And to create one is very easy, very straightforward. In here, simply add the account name first of all. So in this case right now, I can say Mary567, for example, and I can add the password, or I can simply generate a password for this user, and then I can create the user. Over here right now, note though the home path. This is actually very, very important. When you see this symbol, this dash, this slanting dash, or rather the / basically, this signifies that this account name will have access to your entire root directory. So this person will have access to all your websites, all the files, folders, and so on. So if I wanted to restrict Mary567 to only have access to the files for this particular site, which is alexander04.sg, I can come in right now under actions, and then in here I can go to change home, click in there, and then I can click on browse, and then I'll simply just choose the folder that I want this person to have access to, which would be, alexander04.sg. Click on select, click on confirm, and that is pretty much it. So you can see the main difference between these two right now. Mary610 will be more like a super admin that will have access to all the websites, files, folders on my hosting account with Siteground, while Mary567, more like an admin, would have access to the files and folders for the Alexander 04 website. So that's one thing to note. Also in here, you've got the FTP host name, which will be provided for you, and then the port, which is usually 21. You've got the app manager. In here, you can simply select whichever apps you want to install. Just go ahead, install, and that's pretty much it. And then down in here, you will see all the applications that have been installed on your website. We've got the MySQL manager. So in here right now, you can create your databases. You can also see the database name associated with your current website. Under actions in here, you can change the label if you wanted to. You can add a new user, by the way. So you simply come in here right now, and then in here you can see we've got this user. We've got the label. Under actions, you can manage access. You can give them all privileges, maybe read-only privileges, revoke and so on. Click on confirm, click on close, and that's pretty much it. So now you have a new user that will have access to your database. That's basically how you can add new users. You will see them, by the way, under the users tab. So you come in here right now, and you can see this is the new user that we've just created. We also have remote. If you wanted to give access to people remotely, you can add the host name right here, add the label if you wanted to. And then finally, we do have the PHPmyadmin functionality. You click in here, click on access PHPmyadmin. This will take you to a whole new page. And then from here, you can begin to open up databases, tables, and make whatever changes that you need to make with PHPmyadmin. And then finally, we do have the PostgreSQL SQL, which, in all honesty, I have never used this before. But if you need to use it, well, it's good to know you do have access to it, by the way. Let's move on to the very next tab, and this is personally my favorite tab, which is security. Yes, I am a security junkie, and under security, we have backups. That's the very first tab that we have. So with backups, of course, you can come in here right now and create 5 manual backups if you wanted to. Simply add the name that you want to designate to your backup, simply click on create, and you're good to go. Note though that Siteground actually creates backups for you every single day. Now, I did install WordPress on this site yesterday, so you can see this was the backup made yesterday, 15th of November 2019 at 5:41 p.m. and it was a system backup. Now, if I wanted to restore this backup or any backups, simply click on the 3 buttons under the Actions tab, and then in here you can see you can restore all files in the databases. Maybe restore only the files or databases or emails. Now, if you're not sure, always go with restore all files and databases. That's the simplest approach that you can take. All right, that's for the backups, but we also have the restore history. So in here, if you've ever restored any kind of backup in the past, you will see the records in here. Note they're kept for the last 14 days. That's 2 weeks. So that's basically creating backups. Let's take a look at the SSL Manager. Very, very important. Right now, you can see that the site that I have, alexander04.sg, it is not secure. So if I wanted to add SSL, all I'll need to do is come in here right now, make sure that the domain is selected. And then in here, you've got 2 types. You've got Let's Encrypt. You've got Let's Encrypt Wildcard. The difference between these two is that Let's Encrypt would only encrypt this particular site. However, the wildcard will also encrypt any subdomains that I might create from this particular domain. I'll talk about subdomains a bit later. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go with Let's Encrypt. Our premium wildcard, you have to pay for that, by the way. So that's why I don't want to talk about it. Let's Encrypt. Let's go ahead and simply do this. I'm going to click on Get. And we'll have to wait for a few seconds for this to complete. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, it says your request is being processed. Thank you very much. I probably should have paused the video and simply resumed once the the SSL had been installed. Anyway, let's just wait for a few more seconds, and if it doesn't finish by then I'll simply pause the video and resume once the process has completed. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause the video and simply resume once it has been completed. All right, welcome back. And yes, I had to wait for an additional, I'd say about 20 seconds. So let's just say it takes about a minute for SSL to be installed. And oops, well, I was going to show you something, but now that page has disappeared. Not a problem at all. Let's go back to our site and let's come in here and simply refresh the page. And you can see right now it still says not secure. Now, in this case where even though you've installed SSL and you're still getting the not secure message on your browser, what you can do is to actually go ahead and do the HTTPS enforce. Basically, this will force your website to go through HTTPS. So in here right now, you can see I've got the domain. All I'm going to do right now is simply turn this on, and there you go. Now let's go back in here. Let us refresh. And now you can see that we have a new sign with the padlock saying, yes, connection is secure. So if you ever have any issues with the SSL, you've installed SSL, but maybe, you're still getting the message saying, hey, your site isn't secure, simply go to HTTPS enforce and then turn this button on. That will make sure SSL actually runs through your site. Okay, let's now go on to the very next tab, which is the protected URLs. This is actually pretty awesome. If for some reason you wanted to protect certain pages or posts on your site and you wanted people that only have a password to have access, you can do so. As an example, let's do this. All right, in here you've got my WordPress website, and we do have the sample page. Let's say, for example, I don't want anyone to have access to this page without a password. What I can do is I can simply copy the URL right in here minus the actual domain itself. I'm gonna copy this, go in here, and now in here I'll simply go ahead now and add the path. Okay, so that's index.php/sample-page. This is the URL I want to protect. I'm gonna go ahead now and click on protect. Okay, now I will need to create a user that will have access to this particular URL. And in here, I can change the name from Ameri618 to, let's say, Ameri555, for example. And I will go ahead and add the password. All right, and I'm going to go ahead now and create. And there you go. All right, so I now have the user. I can manage the access by clicking on the tab right here, or I can go in here where you have the key, click on manage access, and then I can give them access to the site I have just, or the URL I've just protected. Let me go ahead and confirm. And there you go. So you can see this user, Ameri555, will have access to this URL with the password. If I go back in here right now and I refresh this page, now you can see, actually, let me just cancel this. Let's go back. Okay, let's go back in here to the home page, refresh. Now let's try an access sample page. Now it sees, you can see right now it says, okay, you'll have to sign in. So unless I add Ameri555 and then add the password that I created and then sign in, that's the only time when I'll now have access to this page. So that's how to make use of the protected URLs. You may not need to use it, but just in case you needed to, you have the ability to do so. Awesome, awesome feature. We've got blocked IPs. So in here, if for some reason you needed to block a particular IP address or a range of IP addresses, simply come in here right now and add it and simply click block, and there you go. Down in here, you will see all the IPs that you've blocked for one reason or the other. And finally, we do have the site scanner. What this does is it regularly monitors your site. You can perform on-demand scans as well. It's not free, but it is incredibly cheap. If you click on Get Site Scanner in here, basically it costs less than $2 per month. There you go right here. So for 12 months, you can get it for about $19.80. Look, unless you're a student and you're broke, you don't have money, you have no reason not to go for this particular tool. It is absolutely important that you keep your site secure, safe from malware, and for just what, $1.65 per month? Come on. That is an amazing deal. So simply go in there right now, add your credit card information, and then simply pay for it. Trust me, you will not regret it. All right, so that's it for the security section. Let's just wait for this page to load. And okay, so that's it for the security section. Let's now move on to the speed section. All right, so under the speed section, we have access to the Cloudflare Content Delivery Network service. And you can see right now it says that it's not available for temporary domains or subdomains. Now, in this case, I actually do have a real domain, which is thelonenomad.com, which I can use. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. Now, unfortunately, I already tested this before, and there is a reason why you don't see a pop-up window that you probably might see. Essentially, that window would be asking you to either create an account with Cloudflare or log into an existing account. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can either just create your account directly right there on the back end of Siteground, or you can go to cloudflare.com and just simply go to sign up and then create your account. They have free accounts, by the way. You don't have to pay for it. So you can do it right here, create your account, and then come in here. When you choose your domain to connect to Cloudflare, simply log in when you're prompted to, and then you will see this particular page right here. All right. What you can do simply here is just go ahead now and activate free. All right. Let's just wait for a few seconds. Okay, so it says Cloudflare for thelonenomad.com is activated. Now over here, you will see the settings. Ideally, you want to keep the caching level on aggressive. If you're making current CSS changes or development changes on your site, it is best that you come in here and turn these on, because if you don't, guess what will happen? You will be making CSS changes on your site, you will refresh your browser, and then you will never see those changes, and you'll be wondering what's going on. Well, it's because Cloudflare is providing you with cached copies of your pages and posts, so you don't want that. So come in here and turn that on. All right, now over here, we have the Cloudflare security settings. Now, by default, it's set to medium. However, here's the thing, okay? Using Cloudflare can be tricky, especially if you're running certain kinds of plugins like maybe Memberium or membership plugins. Keep this on medium, all right? However, if you notice that now that you've activated Cloudflare, if you go to the back end of your WordPress website, if there are any plugins affected by it, you will see the notice on your backend saying, hey, we discovered that you've just turned on Cloudflare. Please turn this off because it's affecting us, or something like that. You will see the notification in your backend. So just be aware of that. But for the most part, just keep this on medium. You don't need to go to high or low, anything like that. All right, let's come over here. For the speed, definitely you want to turn all these on. This will improve the speeds of your website. Railgun. And then, of course, SSL support. If you're running SSL, definitely go to full strict, not just full. You want to go with full strict. And that's basically it for the settings. Now, over here, one final thing is that for Cloudflare to work properly on your site needs to run through www, not just HTTPS and then, ://. It has to go through www. Now, here's the thing. There is a way to configure that, and it will involve the use of this plugin, which is Better Search and Replace. Essentially, you'll have to search in your WP options table. Look for every instance where you have HTTP and then your domain. You replace that with HTTP ://www. And then you do the same thing for HTTPS as well. Unfortunately, I can't show you now because that's like a different topic entirely. However, I would recommend that for Cloudflare to work, you will have to do that. You can always, again, contact Siteground support. They will help you do this. Or you can also go to the Cloudflare tutorial that will show you exactly how you can redirect. And in fact, it's on this Siteground. You can see right here, they have a full tutorial describing exactly how you can reconfigure it manually. You come in here right here. It says how to reconfigure manually. This is if you want to do it by yourself. You come in here and you click on the link right there, and it will take you to this page. And right there, you can see the different ways how you can actually do this. You could also just do it directly through the .htaccess file. But if this is complicated for you, then you might just want to make use of this plugin. Or better yet again, just contact Siteground support and let them do that for you. All right, so that's it for Cloudflare. Let's now move on over to caching. Let's take a look at the caching options available with Siteground. And as you can see, we do have 3 levels. You've got the static caching, dynamic caching, and of course, mem caching. Now, of course, with static caching, I would highly recommend you turn this on. Simply go in there and turn it on right there. And of course, if you need to flush your cache, simply click on the brush button right here and your cache will be flushed. Okay, pretty easy. Let's go to dynamic cache. Now in here, Siteground actually offers you a plugin, a WordPress plugin that you can use to cache your JavaScript files, CSS, and so on. It's called the SG Optimizer plugin. This is it right here. Now, I don't use the SG Optimizer plugin. I actually do use WP Rocket. I think it's by far the best caching plugin. But WP Rocket is paid. It's not free. So if you do decide to use the plugin provided by Siteground, which is free, let me quickly show you how to make use of it. Now, I do have the SG Optimizer plugin installed already. And in fact, whenever you install WordPress with Siteground, I think the plugin comes by default in your backend. So under your super cache settings, make sure dynamic caching is turned on. Make sure you have your automatic cache purge turned on as well. Now in here, if you needed to prevent certain posts or pages from being cached, you can do so in here. Just simply add the URL. And in this kind of situation, maybe you have a post that you're constantly updating, and it is important that visitors see the most updated version of that post or page. That's the kind of scenario where you might want to make use of excluding certain URLs from caching. So just simply come in here and add that. Make sure mem caching is also turned on as well. But for this to actually work, you need to go to your Siteground backend, and then under mem cached, make sure it is actually turned on right here. If this isn't turned on, then this here isn't going to work. All right. So make sure both are turned on. Let's come over here to environment optimization. In here, if you're having any issues with SSL, you can also force your site to run through HTTPS in here. Over here, you do have the fix insecure content functionality. Now, even if your site now runs through HTTPS, there might be certain instances where maybe you have an image or a video or some sort of file that isn't secure. You can come in here right here and simply turn this on, but only do this if you're actually having such issues. Now, this is important, the PHP version. You can either decide to manually update PHP whenever a new update comes out, or you can say, hey, Siteground, do this for me, manage PHP for me, and I would highly recommend you do that. So in here, simply choose managed PHP, click on save, and then confirm. So what this will do is that whenever a new version of PHP comes out, Siteground would only update the PHP for you if they feel that, hey, we've tested this version, we believe it will work well with your WordPress website, there won't be any issues, they'll go ahead and then update. So I think it's much safer than you manually updating PHP all by yourself. You do have the GZIP compression added for you automatically, which is great. This will help you to manage the images on your site. And of course, browser caching, make sure this is turned on. This is absolutely vital. Let's come up here to front-end optimization. Now in here, this is where you get the typical functionalities with most caching plugins. So you want to go ahead and turn just about all of these on. Let's turn that on as well. All right, render blocking JS. In here, this could be a little bit tricky. If you turn this on, which I would recommend, but then you notice that certain plugins aren't working properly or something seems to be broken, it could be that you would need to actually disable the render blocking JS caching. So keep this in mind, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. But again, should in case you notice something different about your site, something that's broken, then it's probably because you need to come in here and disable the defer random block in JS. Just keep that in mind. All right, minify CSS file, absolutely. Combine CSS files, absolutely. What this will do is that it will improve the loading speeds for your site. You want to make sure that you turn all these on. And of course, finally, if you're not using emojis on your site, so it's not necessary, simply go ahead and disable your emojis. All right, last but not least, we do have image optimization. Now, when it comes to image optimization, there are plugins out there which I'll recommend. You have the EWWW plugin as an example. You've got Imagify as well. But if you're not using any one of those, you can make use of the functionality here with the SG Optimizer plugin. So in such a scenario, of course, you want to make sure you come in here, you turn these on so that all images uploaded to your media library are optimized. And then, of course, you can also do the lazy loading images where only when the actual content of the site is loaded, that's when the images will now be loaded once they become visible in the browser, basically. So in here, if you turn it on, you can now choose, okay, how exactly do I want to lazy load the images? Do I want to lazy load gravitas or maybe thumbnails, responsive images, widgets, and so on? If you're going to go ahead and do this, I'll recommend you might as well just turn all of these on. That's basically what you want to do in here. And then, of course, you can include certain images from being lazy loaded, basically. And that's pretty much it for the SG Optimizer plugin. And going back again to the caching in the Siteground backend, again, make sure your static cache is turned on. You can come in here and flush all if you need to. Dynamic cache, we've covered that. And then, of course, mem cache, make sure it's turned on as well. Now, one final thing to mention is that if you are currently making changes to your site, especially CSS changes, make sure that you disable all forms of caching, because if you don't, when you make certain CSS changes on your site and you refresh your website, you refresh your browser, you would not see those changes because your browser will simply be providing you with the cached version of your page or post. So again, if you're running CSS changes, make sure you disable all your caching. Let's move on to the very next tab, and this would be the WordPress tab. Now, we've already talked about installing and managing WordPress installations. I already showed you how to install WordPress on your site. So you can see right now under the manage installations, you can see that I have my site right here. This, by the way, is a new site. This is an actual real domain I just bought. So I'm going to be using this domain to demonstrate the staging process. So that's why I'm not using the Alexander for SG temporary domain. I'm using an actual real domain now. Okay, let's go over to staging. Now, what exactly is this staging? Well, let's say, for example, you already have a website that's live on the internet. People are visiting your site. And let's say you wanted to make certain changes, right? Maybe change your theme, maybe add a new plugin, add a new kind of functionality, but you don't want to do it on the live site because, well, one, you don't know what will happen. You might break something. And two, you don't want to interrupt the user experience, right? You want people to be able to come to your site and just, visit the site normally and do what they have to do without any interruptions. This is where staging comes into play. Basically, with staging, you can create a copy of your live website, make whatever changes you want to make on that copy, view the site, and then decide, okay, everything is fine. And then if everything is fine, you can then make those changes onto the actual live domain, right? So let me show you exactly how you can do this, right? In here, you can see the WordPress installation that's been chosen, lonenomad.com. I'm going to come in right now and type in the staging name. So let's just say test1, for example. And I'm going to go ahead now and create the staging copy. All right, it's been processed. Okay, awesome. So right now you can see it's been created. Now, if I click on test1, you can see right now that this is the sample site. This is the actual domain right here, lonenomad.com. You can see right here, that's the site. And now this is the staging copy. You can see staging2.thelonenomad.com. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make certain changes to this staging copy. So let's just assume that, okay, we wanted to change, let's say the theme, for example, right? Let me just go ahead and first of all, log in. By the way, the login details for the main domain is the same login details you'd use for your staging copy, by the way. All right, so in here right now, under the staging copy, let's make certain changes. Okay, let's go to the themes first of all. All right, active is 2020. I'm going to change this to 2019 instead. Let's go ahead now and also add a new plugin as an example, a new post as an example. Let's just say sample post, and I'll just say this is a test. Let's go ahead and publish this post. Okay, so we've made two changes. We've changed the theme. We've also added a new post, right? Okay, now let's go back to Siteground. And now in here, down here where we can manage the staging copy, if I click on these three buttons right here, you can see the options. We can do a full deploy. What this means is whatever changes we've made on the staging site, if we fully deploy those changes, all those changes will now be applied on the main site. However, we do have a custom deploy. In this case right now, we can choose the changes that we want to make on the main site. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a custom deploy. And as you can see right now, it says, okay, to be updated for main changes. Okay, let's go ahead and expand this. Now, what this does is it will show you the databases that were affected as a result of the changes that we made on the staging site. In here, you can see we have WP options, post meta, posts, and then term relationships. Now, if you're not familiar with these databases and what's contained in them, you can check out the database description on the internet. Just simply go to codex.wordpress.org, and then you can search for database description. In here, you will see a breakdown of what tables or databases we have. In this case right now, you can see them: WP, comment, meta, comments, links, and so on. And then you will see the relevant areas of the WordPress user interface. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so what exactly is this? We changed two things, right? We changed the theme, and then we also created a new post. Right off the bat, you should know that post meta and posts would have something to do with the fact that we created a new post. WP term relationships also has something to do with posts as well. You can see right here, under WP term relationships, posts are associated with categories and tags, blah, blah, blah. So you know this table was also affected. And then finally, we have the WP underscore options table. This is a table that deals with themes and so on. You can see right here, you can see these are all the relevant areas. So if you go to like settings, or you go to appearance, you dealt with widgets, all this will be affected under the WP options table. So let's say, for example, we only wanted to make the theme change and not add the new post that we created on the staging copy. I'll just come in here right now, select WP options, click on next, and then it will say, okay, do you want to confirm these changes? Yes. So right now we are deploying the theme, which is 2019, now into the main site, which is lonenomad.com. Okay. Now, if I go back to my lonenomad.com and I refresh the main site, you can see right now that the theme has changed from 2020 to 2019. And if I go to the back end and I go to posts, you can see that actually we did not add the new post because we chose not to when we were deploying the custom deploy of the staging copy. So that's basically how you can deploy custom deploys or full deploy. So again, if you come in here under actions, you can do a full deploy, custom deploy, you can destroy your staging copy, you can replicate, or simply rename. So those are the additional things you can do with the staging feature. All right, let's take a look at the Migrator tool. And this is basically a tool that you can use to transfer content on one website that's hosted on another web hosting company over to Siteground, right? So let's say, for example, I do have this site right here, which is blog.lonenomad.com. Let's assume it's hosted on GoDaddy, and I wanted to transfer the contents of this site over to this temporary domain I just created. This is where I would use the Migrator tool. Now, let me just stress that if you need any migration done of any kind, it is best that you contact Siteground support and let them do it for you. a lot of things can go wrong, and it's best you just let the professionals handle this. After all, you don't have to pay for it. It's free, right? But let's assume that you wanted to do it by yourself, or maybe just even learn the process. Let me show you exactly what's going to happen. Now, note that I am not using the lonenomad.com or any of these other temporary domains because I already have WordPress installed on them. Before you can use this Migrator tool, you need to make sure that the domain you've chosen is empty. You don't have any installations in there. It's completely empty. So in this case, I'm using another temporary domain, which is Alexander06. So I've chosen it right here. The path you can see right here is set to the root folder. So I'm going to go ahead now and generate a token. This is a token right here. So I'm just going to go ahead now and copy this token. You can also click download plugin, and this will take you to the WordPress page where you can download Siteground's Migrator plugin. Go over to the site that you want to transfer, install the plugin, activate the plugin. You will see SG Migrator. You come in here right here and simply paste the token that you've generated. Make sure you add a real email address in here where you can receive notifications so that you'll be informed when the migration has finished or if something happened, if there was an error. And then simply go ahead now and click initiate transfer. And that's basically what's going to happen. All right, so it will tell you that, okay, you want to exchange the site domain over to Alexander06. You're going to say yes and just simply click on continue, and the rest will take care of itself basically. So you can see right now the transfer request has been sent to Siteground. Siteground right now is preparing the files to transfer over, things like that. So that's basically the entire process. Let's just wait for a few seconds and see what will happen once this process has finished. Let's just wait for a few more seconds. This actually might take a while. So I think what I'll actually do is I'm just going to go ahead and simply just cancel the transfer. It's basically a very, very straightforward process. Okay. Oh, well, there you go. So the transfer has completed successfully. Now it says we've created a temporary URL that will be valid for 48 hours to check your site on a new location. If everything then looks good, you can point your domain to our server. So once the migration has actually finished, you will need to change the domain servers of your new domain to point over to what you have in here, where you'll have to update your DNS records. Again, if you don't know how to do this, just contact Siteground, let them do it for you. But that's basically how to make use of the Site Migrator tool. And finally, on the WordPress, let's move over to the auto update. All right. Now in here, you can allow Siteground to automatically run updates for you on your sites. So in this case right now, you can see we've got the auto update settings. You've got major release. So in this case right now, if you've got like a new release or maybe like your theme has been updated or WordPress itself has been updated, that's what we call major releases. Minor releases are kind of like the smaller updates. You usually find them with like plugins where they have like version 5.2.6 and then they have version 5.2.7 where they fix maybe one or two bugs. In this case right now, you can choose, okay, how soon would you like to run the updates as soon as they're available? So minor releases is set to immediate, major releases is set to 24 hours. And then update plugins, you can see right here, it's set to on automatically. This isn't always ideal because, to be honest, there might be instances where you run an update on a plugin and it breaks something. So to be on the safe side, I would actually recommend that you don't turn this on, but keep it off, just to be on the safe side. But make sure that you run updates as often and as frequent as you can, or rather as early as you can, as soon as the update has been made available. Because if you don't update your themes or plugins, you leave your site vulnerable to malware and hackers, basically. So that's it for the WordPress section. Let's now move over to the domain section. Let's move on to the very next section, and we're talking about the domain section. And under domain, we have parked domains. Now, a natural question I might have is, what exactly is a parked domain and why would I want to use one? Let's say, for example, you have a site called smalls.com, right? SMALLS.com. There is a tendency for people to mispronounce or mistype your domain and instead type in, let's say, SMALLZ.com. In this kind of situation, you could decide to park smallz.com, so that if anyone goes to smallz.com, it will redirect them to your main domain, which is actually smalls.com. So you might want to use park domains in a situation where your domain is easy to mispronounce or mistype. You could also use park domains to redirect the additional extensions like .biz, .org, .news, and so on. You can redirect those to your .com main domain. Now, before these can actually work, you need to make sure that the domain name is, first of all, active, the one you want to park, and that its name server records actually point to your main domain's site's DNS. Make sure that is actually done. If you have any questions about this, of course, Siteground will be more than happy to assist you. But once that's done, simply come in here, type in the domain, click add, and you're good to go. Let's take a look at subdomains. Very, very, very easy. Just in here, type in the extension you want to create as your subdomain. So in this case right now, I can go with, let's say, blog.alexanderrowe.4.com and so on. Just click on create, and that's that's pretty much it. That's how easy it is to create a subdomain from your main domain. Now in here, you also have the ability to add redirects. In here, you'll have your main domain, which is, of course, in this case right now, I'm going to go with the alexander4.sghost.com. You can add the path and then simply redirect them. You have different types. You've got the permanent redirect or a temporary redirect. It all depends on which you want to go to. You can go with temporary or permanent and then add in here the URL where you'd like to redirect them to. So in this case right now, I can say, you know what, redirect them to blogger.com instead. Actually, let me just go ahead and add https:/. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I would like to permanently redirect people who visit this site to the ufablogger.com site. Let's go ahead and create that. Okay, now let's check this out. I'm going to go ahead. I'll copy this. Let's open up a new tab. And let's see. Let me just go ahead and refresh this one. Okay, so you can see this is the actual site, but now that's loading ufablogger.com and not the alexander4.sg.host.com. As you can see, it's now redirecting to this particular site. So that's how to create redirects if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and remove this redirect. And then finally, let's go over to the DNS zone editor. Now in here, unfortunately, I cannot demonstrate this particular functionality because what I'm using right here is a temporary domain. However, in all fairness, editing your DNS is something that I would not recommend. If you wanted to make any changes to your DNS for one reason or the other, I would highly recommend you contact Siteground and let them do that for you. If you make just the slightest mistake with your records on the DNS, you could seriously screw up your website. So I would recommend that if you ever need to make changes to your DNS, contact Siteground support and let them assist you with that. Let's move on to the very next tab, and in here we're talking about emails. Now, under accounts, you could decide to create a professional email account that will be associated with your domain. In this case right now, it's not available for temporary domains. So what I'll do is I can switch this over to an external domain that I have tied with Siteground. And now you can see I will have access to being able to create an email account that will be tied with this domain. So in this case right now, under create new email account, I can simply type in, let's say, Alex, right? Alex@alextestnewua.com. I can come in here right now, add my password. Let me do that again. Okay. And I'll just go ahead and create. And that's pretty much it. I've created an account, an email account with alextestnewua.com. Now, to demonstrate how this actually works, let me use my actual blog as an example. So in here right now, you can see my site, webmonkeyonline.com. To access the emails for this particular domain, I'll simply come in here, add / and then webmail. This will take me to the login page where I'll have my email address and password. I'll simply go ahead and log in. and voila, now I have access to my email account with under thewebmonkeyonline.com. I can of course send messages, receive emails, and so on, and that's pretty much it. So that's exactly how you could create an email account, or a professional email account for your domain. Now in here we've got the forwarders, where you can decide to forward any emails sent to one particular address to another email address. So you simply come in here right now, add where you'd like to forward all the addresses to, from which email, and then in here you would add the actual email that you want to be receiving the forwarded emails. Very, very easy. Just come in here and add the necessary details. You've got the autoresponders, which you can set up as well. So as an example, I can come in here and say, okay, I'm going to set up an autoresponder because I'm going on vacation. So I've typed in alex@alex-neway.com. The sender in this case would be Alexander only, which is me. The subject will be I'm on vacation, and buddy, I'll just say, sorry, I can't respond right now. I am in the Bahamas. Ha 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 ha. You know, just something like that, right? So if anyone sends an email to me, they'll receive this automatically. And of course, you'll do the start date, start time, end date, and then create. And there you go. That's how you can create a very simple autoresponder. All right, let's move on to filters. Now, this is something I typically do not use, but if you wanted to use a filter, let me just show you how you would do so. You've actually got two levels. You've got the user level, you've got the domain level, by the way. Let's just go with the user level. In here, you would first of all choose the email account that you want to create a filter for. I'm going to go ahead and choose alex@alex-neway.com. Let's scroll down in here. Now, in here, you can add the filter name. So, for example, redirect, let's say job, or redirect employment. Let's just say redirect employment email. So let's just say, for example, I am currently looking to employ people for my business, and I'd like to redirect anyone who types in or sends a resume and the subject of the email contains something about employment. I can do that. So I can come in here and say, all right, I've added the name. Now redirect, let me just choose the action first of all. Okay. I've chosen the action of redirecting to this particular email, which would be alex@thewebmonkeyonline.com. All right, what am I doing here? Basically, I am saying that if anyone sends an email to alex@alex-neway.com, redirect that email to alex@thewebmonkeyonline.com if, and in here I'm going to say the subject, okay, contains, and then in here I can type in employment, for example, right? So if the subject of the email has employment in it as a word, simply redirect that email to alex@thewebmonkeyonline.com. That's how you can create a very, very simple filter. And of course, you can get a lot more specific. You can choose things like, okay, if it's to a particular email, or if the body of the email contains or does not contain or begins with, or you've got different kinds of variations that you can create for very, very specific filters. So I might actually make a separate tutorial on filters because it's quite extensive. But I don't know, maybe that's something I might do in the future. So you've also got the same exact settings for domain level as well. Again, simply choose the domain you want to create a filter for. You come in here right now, add your filter name, and then the conditions, if any, if all, and then you pretty much do the exact same thing like we did with the user level. Let's move on over to authentication. Now, this is something that I would not recommend that we spend time on. This refers to things like email spoofing, and it could get a little bit complicated. So let's just move on finally to spam experts. Now, in here, you could also have Siteground fight spam on your behalf. However, if you're running a WordPress website, I would recommend you go with the Akismet plugin instead. It's a lot easier to use, and it also does a fantastic job. Let's take a look at the final two tabs. And first, we have statistics, and on the statistics, we have traffic. So this is where you will get some very accurate a description of your traffic, how much you're getting on a daily basis. Well, as you can see for my test site, well, I don't have any traffic at all. But if I did, you would see the number of unique visitors I'm getting, the number of page views as well, and then the average number of pages per visit, all useful stuff. And in audience, you would see, okay, where are my audience coming from? What countries, what continents are they coming from? Sources will tell you, okay, exactly what keywords are driving people to my site, what referrals are driving people to my site. Behavior, you can look at things like the most visited pages, which ones are actually very, very popular. You can also take a look at the HTTPS status codes as well. And then finally, you've got the technology. This will tell you things like what browser are they using, what device, maybe they are on a desktop or on a mobile phone, maybe they're using a Mac or they're using the Windows operating system and so on. So basically on the traffic, you'll get lots of information about, where your traffic is coming from, and of course, who is actually visiting your site. You also have access to your error logs, and then finally the access logs as well. And then you've got the devs tab, which is, well, you do have some advanced stuff in here, but you could decide to create a Git repository for your website in here if you wanted to. You can set up cron jobs. You simply come in here right now, add the name, the command, add the interval. Do you want to do this manually or maybe once per day and so on? And then you can set the minute, hour, day, month, or weekday. And then on the manage notification emails, very, very important. I would highly recommend you include an email so that you're notified whenever your cron job has started, if it failed, if it finished, and so on. You can receive notifications. You've got your PHP Manager. We already talked about this a bit earlier, but you have it in here as well. And that's pretty much it. Oh, finally, you've got the SSH Keys Manager. So if you want to create keys for your secure shell, this is where you can do so. You simply add in the key name, password, and then create them for use. So that's pretty much it for the statistics and devs tabs. And in fact, that's it for the site tools. Let's now move on to a different section of the Siteground control panel. All right, so now that we've finished talking about the site tools available for you, let's move over to how you can actually manage your websites or what you can actually do. Let's say, for example, I wanted to do some managing for loannomad.com. I would come over here and click on manage. And then over here, you would see these three buttons. You click in there and you've got different kinds of features available for you. First of all, you've got the server details. So in here, at a glance, you can see the data center, the IP, the name servers, and so on. Let's close that. And then next, you've got transfer ownership. Actually pretty useful. Let's say, for example, you wanted to transfer this site over to someone else. Simply click on transfer ownership. And then in here, you simply add the name, the email, and then over here, you can recommend a hosting package that they can go with. Obviously, it doesn't mean that they will pay for the hosting package, but you can just recommend it to them. You can also recommend certain services, such as like the SG site scanner, the dedicated IP, and so on. And then in here, all right, make sure this is checked, and it says that you can transfer all currently active services associated with this website. All already paid services will be free for use by the new owner until their renewal date. All right. So in this case right now, because I've already paid for this domain name, the new owner will have access to this domain name until November 18th, 2020, when they will now have to renew it by themselves. And then over here, you check the box to say that, okay, I understand, I will no longer have ownership of the site. And then if there's an agreement between you and this new owner that you will be a collaborator on this site, you can come in here, check this box as well, and simply initiate the transfer. By the way, the new owner will have 72 hours to accept the website, or the transfer request will expire. All right, let's go back and see what else we have over here. You can also go offline. The only reason why you might want to do this is, let's say your site has been hacked and your site being live on the internet actually does more damage to your business. So you might want to just go ahead and put your site offline. This means that your site will not be accessible, the databases will be shut down, and so on. You can also choose to delete the domain if you don't want to use it anymore. And then finally, you can change the primary domain. Now, in this case, this is if you wanted to make this site, let's say, for example, I wanted to make loannomad.com, maybe a parked domain. And in this case, let's say I bought loannomad.com instead. So I want to redirect all traffic from the loannomad.com over to loannomad.com. In this case right now, I can make loannomad.com over here the new domain, and then the loannomad.com will simply become a parked domain for loannomad.com. That's basically how this actually works. So you add the details, you come in here, and then you confirm. All right, let's go over back to the services tab. Now over here, you have access to hosting and then the domains. So right here, you can see this is my current hosting plan. It's the GoGeek account. It's going to expire January 15th, 2020. I can click in here to manage. And then over here, I can take a look at all the sites hosted under my GoGeek account. But then over here under hosting, you can see the 3 buttons in here as well. Let's click in there. All right, so you can change the name to something else. You can add a new website. You can renew. I can choose to upgrade to maybe cloud hosting. I can downgrade to maybe a Grow Big account if I wanted to. And then I can choose to relocate. In this case right now, let's say, for example, I am moving my business from the United States over to Asia. All right. In this case right now, I can simply say, you know what, I want to move all the content on the United States servers that Siteground has over to the servers in Singapore because it's closer to where I'm going to be in Asia, right? So I'll simply come in here, choose Singapore, click select, for example, and then I'll simply pay for it, and then Siteground will transfer all my sites, all my content from the United States servers over to the servers over in Singapore. Let's go back. What else do we have in here? We also have renewal settings. So in this case, you can do things like, okay, I'd like to auto renew every 12 months, every 3 months, and so on. That's basically what you can do right there. And last but not least, well, you can choose to cancel your hosting plan with Siteground. All right, under your hosting plan, you will also see statistics where you have your websites. It's right here. You can click in there. And basically in here, you will see just how much space has been used, how much in nodes are currently running, your program executions, and so on. So it's just basically a way for you to look at the stats on your hosting plan at a glance. And I think that's pretty much it. That's for hosting. Domains. In here, you have access to the different domains. You can add privacy. You can manage the domains. You can transfer a domain if you want to. And that's pretty much it under services. Billing, well, obviously this is self-explanatory. You can come in here, add a new card, take a look at your payment history, take a look at your renewals and so on. And of course, if you want to join the affiliate program, they do have the referral page right here. You can read more if you're interested. And then finally, we've got the marketplace. In here, you can buy your domain names. You can add hosting services as well. And finally, they do have perks. So if you're a Siteground customer, well, you do have some perks such as Codable. You can get $60 off, and then Opt-in Monster, get a free trial. You got Tag, Elementor, which by the way, I'm a big fan of. You can get 20% off, and of course, WP Forms, you can get 30% off as well. So that is pretty much it for the Siteground back-ends hosting service. Well, there you have it. We've come to the end of today's tutorial on how to make use of Siteground's web hosting services, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope I've been able to convince you to go along and buy hosting with Siteground. If you're already a Siteground customer, I hope you found the tutorial useful as well. Now, if you want to buy hosting with Siteground, please use my affiliate link in the description box below. What that means is I will get a small commission. You'll be supporting me, you'll be supporting the channel. So thank you so much. I hope you will do so. And of course, be sure to hit the like button, share this video with anyone whom you feel might benefit from learning about Siteground's web hosting service. My name is Alex. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.